Thank you. Good evening. I think I'm here for one reason. My brother Joseph and I, 10 years ago, we founded a small company called Stories. We work with a bunch of extremely talented artists. We create work like this. You see people you're familiar with. These are images that you've seen in press around the world. This is an image that was listed on Insider.com's global best wedding photos of the last decade. So we made that list twice. Thank you. If you see a photo you like, I'd love for you to actually snap because it'll give me a sense that you're all awake. Okay, so that's number 2. Let's move on. Frequently our images are filled with color. They're gorgeous. They're full of this idea of India that is typically only seen in commercials. You know, the good part of this, because we don't try to restrict ourselves to weddings and we don't try to think of ourselves as only wedding photographers, our images have made the jump from weddings to other spheres. Let's move forward. We've had the trust and faith of some very interesting clients over the last decade. And I think we've taken that trust and faith and we've dealt with it very responsibly, and we hope to do so in times to come. Because of people like this, because of Priyanka Chopra, because of Nick Jonas and everybody else who's trusted us with their big day, our work has been seen in everything from Vogue to Grazia to Elle to Harper's. It's been in the BBC. There have been stories about us in Entrepreneur Magazine, in The Week. You name the newspaper in India, including national and regional local language. We've been there, by God's grace. It's been a very interesting decade. Coming to the end of this conclusion, this introduction, 10 years of stories, nearly 500 weddings, 36 countries around the world. You might never have heard of us, but you've definitely seen this image that we made about 6 years ago, right? To be granted this audience, to have been given this responsibility, to be called in to be part of this particular milieu is definitely a privilege. It's an honor, and we take that very seriously. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about. Okay, let's begin. So the other day I was watching a film, and there was a question there. And the question was, what if you had 75 full years on this earth? You had only 75 years, someone told you that your entire lifespan was 75 years, right? It stopped me in my tracks, and I figured, let me try and visualize this. So if I had a card for every decade, this is what it would look like, 7 to 8 cards that I'd hold in my hands. I know that the average age here is about the mid-20s, so we're on that third card there for most of you in the audience. Yeah, you can't go back, you can only go forward. So if I were to ask you, what do you want to fill those cards with? You're all business school grads, or you're going to be business school grads. You're going to give me sharp answers. You'll say, I want that kind of family by that age. I want that job by that age. I want to own that. I want to go here. I want to be better than this guy. I definitely want to beat her in the back. You'll have all of those things, right? A mixed bag of ambitions, goals, dreams, all of that. But then I began to realize that the more you think about it, the more it feels like we need a plan for every second of our lives. And this is really, it is brought to the fore by this really irritating, annoying interview question that most of you have already heard. Where do you see yourself? Exactly, 5 years from now. Terrible question, but then it plants a seed of doubt. Maybe I should have a plan. Maybe I should know where I'm going with this, right? It makes you start to wonder whether you should ask what's in it for me every time an opportunity is presented to you. It makes you ask where this road is actually leading you. It makes you question why you should spend any time on this frivolous, non-work related activity. Does it get me closer to my goals or not? In short, what this kind of thinking does is it makes everything a transaction. Yeah? In the 20 years it's taken me to get to this stage, because 2003 is when I entered XLRI, I've learned one thing. The day you make everything a transaction is the day you realize that nothing has any value whatsoever, right? You can achieve all your goals, you can achieve your dreams, but what's of value is typically lost. Okay, so I know that the rational parts of our brains, the conservative, the business-minded parts of our brains tell us that we should definitely look for a value relationship. We should look for a value calculation in everything that we do. But I'm here asking you to see if you can balance it with this other way of thinking, that not everything needs to be a transaction, where you can actually do things because they have inherent worth. Yeah? You're called upon frequently by family, by your own goals and dreams, by business, by the people you work with, to use your rational part of your brain, to be motivated by your brain. But I'm saying, is there a way for you to balance this with a motivation that's driven by love? You all with me so far? Okay, good. All I'm saying is, if you like something or you love something, you should savor the moment and stay in the moment. Not ask, where is this going to take me? Is this going to make me CEO of X? Or is it going to make me the world's most famous Y? Or whatever be the thing, right? So, a couple of examples there. I love playing the keyboards from an early age, from when I was growing up. I'm one of those idiots, can I say that on camera? Okay, who came to XLRI with a keyboard, along with 3 other idiots who just happened to be here with their musical instruments. And we ended up forming a band called Bodhi Tree, right? Nothing major, but it had a decent impact in our sphere. Nothing major. But that wasn't the reason why we started playing music, if you look at what I'm saying. It's not the reason why we continue to play music. Same thing with my fascination and love for coding, same thing with my love for graphic design. These things don't need to have an end in mind, they don't need to have a payoff. I'm doing it because I'm savoring the moment. I love the way the keyboard sounds, that's it. If good things happen after it, good for us. If they don't, still good for us. So, when you spend time on something you love, when you truly savor the moment, I think something magical happens. Let me take a quick example with my friend Anuja. Anuja, how old are you?
23.
23, okay. So Anuja, in 10 years time, when you turn 33, you will run into people who will tell you this, who will say, let's say that graph is time. I figured business school grads, without a graph, you'll start like panicking, hyperventilating, so chalo kar dete hain kuch. It doesn't have X and Y axis, so thoda, dusra axis is missing, theek hai? So you will find people who will tell you in 10 years time, yaar, I used to love painting, I don't have any time for it anymore. You know, I used to love writing, I haven't had the time to actually exercise this. Nahi ho raha hai. Everything else is happening and life has gotten me busy. But then, I will tell you this, that there are people in this audience, my friends, who have managed to not lose touch with their passions. And you know what that looks like when you actually spend time with things you love? It looks like that. Yeah? You not only get better at the things that you love, you also create an opportunity for interesting things to intersect with your life, if that makes any sense, right? Are you all with me so far? Good. Now let me tell you a short story, because I think bahut gyan ho gaya. We've seen all the graphs and all the slides and all the text. Let me start with a short story. Can interesting things happen? Maybe, maybe not, let's see. So I love photography. At Stories, I'm the CEO there. I run operations, product marketing, all of that other stuff. My brother Joseph is the super uber creative photographer who handles it all, who's got an incredible team that he works with, who he has trained and who actually support him. They all work together as directors, they do all that stuff. What do? I sit with Excel sheets. So 12 years ago, I shot my first photos with a DSLR. They look like this. I thought they were interesting. I thought I had an interesting eye. I was looking at blindingly ordinary things, and they seem to come out fine from my camera. So that's nice. Do I like it? Do I love it? Yes. Should I spend time with it? Double yes. That's what we're talking about, right? 8 years later, when I went to New York, I didn't even have a DSLR with me, and this is all stuff that I shot on my iPhone, right? So that's Times Square shot on my iPhone. Move forward, I realized that because I had spent so much time with it, I was able to spot frames that I otherwise would not have been able to see at all. Yeah? Things started to get better. I got better at it slowly but surely. Color, motion, people, scale, perspective, shooting from above, shooting from below, getting to understand symmetry, all of that stuff. You know, trying to explain context and meaning and feeling in one frame as quickly as possible. And then something interesting happened, right? My vision started to get better. Do you like this photo? Can you see what it is? It's a jet ski in the water in Malaysia, right? I called it the Malaysian Dragon, and it won an award first with Malaysian tourism, and then it's won some awards around the world, right? Right place, right time, but also right vision, knowing how to use the camera, knowing how to use a drone to actually get this to happen, right? Again, did I ask for this? No. I just was spending time with something I love. More interesting things happened. I was in the Thar desert. I saw my shadow go away from me when I looked down. I said, that's interesting. So I put this scene together and I shot this, right? So this is the one that won awards from Tokyo to Paris to New York and so on. Nice? Thank you. 48 hours ago, I was in London. I literally came here because XLRI. Excel Meri Jaan, came all the way, sleep deprived, but I thought I'll show you a few images from London shot on my iPhone, right? Nothing fancy, but also fancy. But, the fact that you can make this kind of stuff with a smartphone while walking around, while I'm in the middle of a busy day, is like, it's amazing. I love it. It's a blessing. And I think I only got here because I stuck to this without asking for a reward. And now here's what people ask me, when I meet my B-school friends. They look at my 1,400 images on Instagram, 1,400 posts, and they're all like this. They're all like super detailed, lots of work has gone into them. They're like, what's the payoff, Joshua? They're like, does anyone pay you? Will you get paid from, did you get work from this? Did someone commission this? And I'm like, guys, I'm just trying to spend time with the things I love. And that's a heretical thing. The reason people are asking me is because they're like, this guy seems a bit nuts. He's spending so much time on something that has no payoff. Okay, quick. Now let's do a 2-minute segue into something else. I also happen to love painting, because who says you only need to love one kind of art, right? Thank you. This is stuff that I did on my iPad like 5 years ago. But again, as with all things, you spend time with it and you start to get better at it. Remember my crazy graph, my ridiculous no-axis graph, right? This is 3 years ago. Do you like this? So I went from there, from painting moon and like water and stuff, to actually being able to get here in a span of 2 to 3 years, right? While also managing a busy work day, and I have all those challenges that any professional has. I have family to work with, all of the other stuff, right? So it's not like I'm just sitting some crazy painter guy just figuring it out. I'm also doing photography at the same time. Yeah. This is the last 12 months, right? So my style has started to improve and it's actually started to crystallize into something really nice. I love where this is going. And finally, this is the last 6 months, a small study on light and shadow that I've been doing, right? So I think it's interesting. I think it actually plays well with color as well. Again, the question, इससे क्या मिलेगा, right? इससे क्या ये किसी के लिए कर रहे हो, किसी ने बोला था तुमको, someone's asked you to do this, is this going somewhere? And I'm trying to tell people, I'm just savoring the moment. Yeah? Okay, good. We did 2 segues. Let's do the third one. I figured, let me try and bring both these loves together, photography and painting. So I created a small project called the Little Painter Project. I'd gotten a gift, a small toy of a little painter sitting in front of an easel. So I thought, this is interesting, I should do something fun with it. So I took a photograph of the little painter with my iPhone, pulled that into my iPad, and I painted on the canvas. Do you see what's happening there? So the painting of the gateway is actually my painting, and the whole thing is my photo. Yeah? Interesting? Interesting. Okay, so I can do that once, I can do that 10 times. So I took him to the Bandra Valley Sea Link. I took him to see the skyline of Mumbai from across the sea. I showed him my Christmas at home. And if you see what's happening, his shadow that's being cast on the canvas, even that is painted, right? All of it. But then, there's flights. There's this magical thing called flights. You can actually get out of Bombay. So I went to Chennai. I went to Jaipur. I did Holi as a conceptual piece, the victory of good over evil, right? So you'll see the cage is open, the birds are flying. You like that? That's good. And then I went to Thailand, I think. Yeah, that's Muay Thai. Then a bunch of other cities around the world. And finally, if I were ever to publish a book, this would be the back cover of it. And this would be the front cover of it, because I love this so much. Yeah. So all in all, an interesting segue. Again, if you're going to ask me, isse kya milega, I'm going to get really mad, right? Because by this time we've established that I think there is worth in art and the things that you do in the work of your hands by itself. Would you agree? That's been it. That's my talk. Thank you. I'm kidding. I still have time. Okay. So I know we're B-school guys, so we're all like, what is the ROI? Where does this go? It's eating away at people. I can see the looks of confusion. Kyun kar raha hai banda? What is wrong with him? So it's all good. It's all good. Even if my story ends here, I think there's worth in the stuff that I've managed to do. I don't know where this road will take me, and I'm very curious to see what life has in store for me. That's all it is. Yeah? But then, if you remember, there's one more thing. I told you that in my crazy graph, there was that whole thing of increasing the chances of interesting things happening to you, right? So something interesting did happen, right? So I kept working at this. Those fireworks went off. I got an email from somebody, and they said, we love the Little Painter project on Instagram. and would you be interested in working with us, and we have a campaign and stuff like that. So that ended up being a mail from Marvel, right? So then I got to create work for Marvel for a couple of years, which is quite cool, right? So it was Indian content localized for India. It has all my hallmarks of things being shot, miniatures being shot up close, painting work, compositing work, a bunch of stuff. You'll see all my ideas. You'll see all the other stuff that I showed you as a lead up to this coming together, right? If he's visiting India, where's he going to go? If he's going to go to Bombay, what's he going to do? So I started to think, what's he going to do? Maybe he's going to do this. I had to pay the guy $100, by the way. That coconut was only $50. Anyway, but the cool part is, I can actually see that Marvel logo on the image and say, that was really cool. That was an interesting intersection with my life that otherwise would not have happened. But that wasn't even the intent, My team came in. They did this for IPL, right? So boys played well. Yeah, we used strings and stuff and we actually made it happen. It was really lovely. And then let's move on. This was Ant-Man. If you remember Captain America Civil War, when we had giant Ant-Man. So I did this, even the image with the camel is my photo from the Thar Desert, right? So it's all my work that I'm putting together in interesting ways. Finally ending with Captain and Iron Man. We want to see them end as friends. So this is an image from Kathmandu. I put that together. And finally something silly, but something for India. Yeah? Is that good? Okay. 2 conclusions for my last 60 seconds on the stage. The first one, I think, is you need to find time for yourself and for the things you love. If you think life is hectic now, you have no idea what's coming. Yeah? If you think you'll figure this out in 10 years, you have no idea. You have to figure this out now while you're on campus, while you're still here, how to potentially play in a popular band and also not flunk out of B school. That kind of stuff, like people like my PhD friend in the audience has already figured out, If each circle here represents an hour, that's 24 hours. You know what your life's going to look like in 10 years? That's going to be the time you'll get to sleep, right? So that's about 7 circles there if you're lucky. You'll have to commute to work. You're not going to escape this. Zoom is not going to be the end all be all. So about 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening are just going to go into getting ready, going to work, coming back from work. You'll have about 4 hours with family. That's all you get. That's it. And the rest of the time you devote to work. Now where do you have all this savoring business and art business and I don't know, right? How do you make time for yourself? And if you can't figure this out, that's going to be your loss. So that's one. That's conclusion 1. And conclusion 2 is that every now and then, I think you should challenge yourself to stop thinking of tomorrow. The most interesting people I know, the people who actually manage to stay young despite their age, are the ones who figured out how to stop thinking of tomorrow, right? And that doesn't have to be with art or something fancy or Marvel or any of that stuff. It could be with Excel, it could be with PowerPoint, it could be with Word. The fact that I made this in Keynote PowerPoint is actually something that's rooted in the fact that I love making presentations at Excel. And I've kept in touch. Thank you, that's been it. Savor the moment.